You know what's really cool? It's none other than ancient Egypt. Not only were the ancient Egyptians responsible for some of the most impressive architectural feats in history, but they also had a pretty keen understanding of science and technology. So keen, in fact, that some of their inventions are still baffling scientists today. From writing to the Egyptian calendar, these ancient innovations still have scientists shaking in their boots. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to discuss some of the inventions of ancient Egypt that just scare scientists. Before starting the video, consider subscribing to the channel so that you are notified whenever we upload our next video. So without any further delay, let's start. Number 1 invention, ink and paper. Paper and ink, which we today consider inseparable from the written word, were invented by the Egyptians. It was not paper as we know it today, but a forerunner known as papyrus, named after the green reeds that grew along the Nile. For many years, historians have been attempting to figure out exactly how the Egyptians turned this plant into a writing surface, but the records are frustratingly hazy. However, it is believed that the initial stage entailed cutting the stems into strips, which were then soaked to extend the fibers and placed down in overlapping layers. They were then crushed, either hammered, rolled, or pressed until the layers bonded to produce a flat surface. But ancient papyrus was far from smooth. Because of the dry Egyptian environment, papers created of papyrus lasted a very long time. Invention number 2. Makeup and wig. Today's essential is the invention of ancient Egypt. Yes, you heard it right. Cosmetics and beauty routines were other Egyptian creations that became popular. There is no question that looking beautiful has always been a human concern, whether biological, subconscious, or intentional. But the ancient Egyptians took this a step further by devising a variety of rituals and goods aimed to highlight a woman's appearance. Beauty became a primary priority for the rich women of ancient Egypt who did not have to work. From eliminating undesirable hair with a wax-like material made of sugar to enhancing facial features with makeup created from natural colors such as crushed beetles and deadly lead. Wigs were very popular among Egyptian ladies. While the most affordable and widely accessible wigs were composed of vegetable fibers, the royal family had theirs manufactured entirely of human hair, frequently from Nubian peoples, to mimic the Afro style prominent throughout the 2nd millennium BC. Queen Nefertiti was known to wear similar adornments under her crown. Invention number 3. Calendar and timekeeping. Today's identifiable calendar and timekeeping technologies were invented by the Egyptians. The Egyptian calendar was split into 12 months of 30 days each, with 5 more days added at the end of the year to bring the total up to 365. It is clear that this invention has withstood the test of time. Unlike us, the Egyptians recognized just 3 seasons, which farmers used to predict when crops were to be planted and harvested. The Egyptians not only invented the days, months, and years that we still use today, but they also invented the first timepieces. The oldest known sundial, discovered in 2013, was uncovered in the Valley of the Kings and dates from about 1500 BC. However, this was not the first instance of a timekeeping device. Huge obelisks, originally built 2,000 years ago, were used to tell the time by the way their shadows fell across its carvings, and the Egyptians invented the water clock at the same time as the first sundial. Knowing the time provided a significantly more structured and efficient civilization, implying that the creation of these gadgets may have enabled many of the other breakthroughs achieved by the ancient Egyptians. Invention number 4. Egyptians were also fond of keeping their oral hygiene perfect, as toothpaste and breath mints were invented by them. If the amazing preservation of loaves of bread over thousands of years teaches us anything, it is that Egyptian granaries and bakeries would not have passed modern-day health checks. The bread was so densely packed with grit and stone shards that it wore off the enamel of the customer's teeth and caused significant dental problems. Abscesses plagued the ancient Egyptians, and toothpaste became one of the most well-known Egyptian innovations to help those who could buy it avoid them. Egyptian toothpaste was created by grinding and combining various salts, dried flowers, pepper, ashes, and even eggshells. This abrasive mixture was then massaged in with the finger or a rudimentary toothbrush composed of torn twigs. Although it cleaned the teeth remarkably efficiently, the toothpaste may have done more damage than good due to its abrasive texture, which caused bleeding gums. The Egyptians devised another invention for people who succumbed to the dangers of oral decay: breath mints. To mask the odor of decaying teeth, ancient Egyptians sipped on drips of cooked honey, sweetened with aromatic herbs and spices like cinnamon, myrrh, or frankincense. They also used mints in their toothpaste to enhance their breath, which is still used in dental goods today. Invention number 5, the police. Yes, you heard it right. The advent of organized law enforcement coincided with the rise of urban life and concentrated authority, as the first ever police force was established in ancient Egypt. It was first used approximately 2500 BC to police and govern the ships and boats that traveled down the Nile, protecting them from criminals and ensuring that commerce and the economy continued to thrive. The Egyptians had formed an elite paramilitary police unit known as the Medjay about 1500 BC. The word Medjay was initially meant to designate to a nomadic Nubian people who were hired as the first police officers, but the name quickly became associated with the force in general. The Medjay were tasked with guarding the pharaoh's most precious territories and goods, including his capital city, frontiers, and palace. Unlike current police forces, the Egyptian police were not in charge of any detective or investigation work. Victims or prosecutors had to provide all their own evidence. Their only mission was to maintain the regime's order and stability by harshly executing lawbreakers and dissidents. They approached this mission in a variety of ways, including the use of animals such as dogs and even monkeys to catch offenders. Have you ever thought who would have invented the lock? Chances are rare that your wild guess would be ancient Egypt, but it's the reality, since locks were invented by the ancient Egyptians. And it's our number 6. For individuals who did not have a private police force to defend their houses, there was another option. Initially, dwellings and structures were secured by a simple bolt put across the door. But around the 2nd millennium BC, the Egyptian innovations of lock and key became the new security methods. Although less sophisticated than current keys, the ancient Egyptian tumbler lock symbolizes a fundamental change in technical history. A number of pins created a series of micro bolts within, and when the corresponding key was placed, its prongs raised these up, allowing the bolt to be drawn back and the door to open. Early specimens were huge, maybe 2 feet long and fashioned of wood. Locks, like furniture and cosmetics, were not widespread throughout the Egyptian period. They were mostly employed to safeguard the wealthy's apartments and valuables, and have even been discovered within the vast pyramids that functioned as the graves of Egypt's kings. Number 7. Medicine. Early civilizations, such as those that evolved in Mesopotamia, saw physical and mental disorders as the work of the gods and sought to heal them with religious and magical medicines administered by priests and even exorcists. Medicines, as we know it now, originated in ancient Egypt. Although the supernatural continued to play a significant part in their concept of health, the Egyptians took a considerably more scientific approach to healing illness, developing medications from natural resources such as minerals, plants, and animal products, and performing early types of surgery. As early as 2200 BC, there were organizations known as houses of life, where physicians and priests performed medicine. These institutes, which are dedicated to the development and preservation of human life, may even be regarded as a predecessor of the hospital. Not only did the Egyptians pioneer a plethora of innovative medical ideas, but they also established the world's first public health system. Around 1500 BC, the settlement of Deir el-Medina was founded for the artisans and workers working on the adjacent valley of the king's royal tombs. In addition to their monthly income, food supply, and servants, these employees were provided with a shared physician to address any health issues and assist heal any complaints. Even when they were unwell, the employees are reported to have gotten their rations, the earliest documented indication of sick pay. As benign as this sounds, it is vital to realize that the pharaohs only instituted this system to maintain a steady supply of laborers to finish their gorgeous tombs. Will you believe us if we tell you that the subject which most people nowadays hate is also the discovery of ancient Egypt? Whether you believe it or not, mathematics is also an invention of ancient Egypt. It's number 8. In history texts, the Greeks are often credited with creating mathematics. They were adept in mathematics and astronomy, but they learned it from the Egyptians. The key distinction is that Egyptian geometry and arithmetic were largely employed for practical purposes, such as measures, economic transactions, and how to build pyramids and cut rocks. Mathematics was not thought to be a theoretical discipline. Sports were part of the curriculum in Egyptian schools, although for those planning to continue their education, the focus was on writing and mathematics. The Egyptians are considered to have developed the first basic 10-number system as early as 2700 BC, if not earlier. The Moscow Papyrus, unearthed circa 2000 BC, is the earliest mathematical writing from ancient Egypt. The Egyptians' innovations were eventually refined and improved upon by ancient Greeks. Number 9. The library. The Royal Library of Alexandria in Egypt was the most renowned ancient library. It was one of the ancient world's biggest and most important libraries, dedicated to the Muses, the 9 goddesses of the arts. Although the library was not an innovation in and of itself, it was crucial for gathering all of antiquity's information in one location. Ptolemy I Soter, who governed Egypt following Alexander the Great's death, built it at Alexandria about 300 BC. Its goal was to build a learning center and consolidate all known knowledge about the outside world in one location. It housed almost 1 million papyrus scrolls covering literature, history, law, mathematics, and science. Number 10. Wine. Wine was a common beverage in ancient Egypt. Although the Egyptians did not develop it, there is artwork from that time period illustrating their manufacturing procedures, which were quite similar to the ones we have today. Grapevines were meticulously grown and supported by wooden pillars. The grapes were gathered and placed in baskets before being pressed by 5 or 6 men, using a wooden instrument intended to extract the juice. Finally, the wine was stored in massive clay ovens and large ceramic jars. It was often stored in basements with oil and food. Barrels were also built for Egyptian tombs as a sign of nourishment for the body. When blended with alcohol, the lotus flower is said to generate a potent narcotic concoction. Wine was shipped from Alexandria down the Nile, which also served as a commerce route for silverware, bronze, ceramics, and oil. What do you think about these inventions? Are you fascinated by any of these inventions? If so, then don't forget to tell us in the comments section below. We hope you enjoyed the video. If so, then don't forget to give us a thumbs up.